Welcome back, everyone. Pal Ponder All Weather here. In this update, we're going to be talking about this snowstorm that's impacting the upper Great Lakes as well as New England. Then a recap of the severe storms that unfolded over the last 3 days. Then we'll be watching areas out west where another storm system will be moving across, impacting the central plains as we head into Saturday. Then yet a much more potent system comes across the southern plains, amplifying the severe storms into Monday as well as into Tuesday. So let's take a look at the radar depiction this morning, and you can actually see we've got big, snow up here. Those areas across Wisconsin, back into Chicago, picked up some snow over the last day or so. That's low pressure center still winding down and lifting further north, and it's still going to be around here for a while. It's dumping a lot of snow. In fact, I've seen some reports almost up to a foot of snow so far in portions of Maine, and that's going to continue to dump over the coming days while we'll be watching another storm complex that's going to be impacting the west coast. That is the one that's going to be moving across into the central plains, going to be bringing some marginally severe storms as we head into Saturday. But let's take a look at the recap of what unfolded so far. This is the month of April. It's very busy storm season. We did, in fact, here based on the storm reports, the filtered storm reports, we had 17 tornado reports coming out of that system on April the 1st. And then as this continued to move off to the east, another 17 tornado reports unfolded across the Ohio Valley, much of Kentucky into Tennessee, back through Alabama there into Georgia. And then in fact, we had one yesterday along into Virginia. So in fact, we did have about 35 tornado reports over the last 3 days. Some of those contained very large hail and damaging winds as well. So it's been active so far, and I think it's going to continue to remain active. Here's the surface map as we head into tomorrow. There it is with that low pressure center still kind of winding itself up, and as it continues to lift up into New England, it's still going to dump that snow, folks. We've got more heavy snow going to be on the way as this low pressure center kind of does like a little loop-de-loop and then comes up the east coast, continuing to dump the heavier snows. So some of these totals will likely end up being 18 to possibly 24 inches. But then all eyes will be trending out west with this another storm complex that is going to be moving in off the west coast. And as it continues to move in, notice the northwest flow. So this is a northwest flow that's going to essentially shut off the Gulf of Mexico. So we're not going to have the moisture return from this particular complex, which is a good thing because this actually could be some nasty severe storms if that wasn't in place. But that won't be the case with this particular system because right now we've got a lot of clear skies, right? You can see where the main complex is across the Ohio Valley. That is a storm system that's continued to wind itself up and move out in the coming days. Very clear skies, very nice weather. Unfortunately, that's not totality today. It's going to be Monday. And by the time we come across into Monday, things turn really unsettled across the middle of the country. But yes, here's the culprit. This is what's going to happen. So you've got this setup off the East Coast where it's just kind of winding itself up. That's going to create that northwest flow. You see the northwest flow here, that essentially shuts off the Gulf of Mexico while we're waiting for this significant storm system to move in and off the west coast. So that means more rain for California and then more snow for the Intermountain West regions as this is going to be moving across into the plains. And as it does, we've got a trough that actually does turn negatively tilted. And if we had more moisture to work with, that would be more unsettled and a higher impact for severe storms. But that is just not going to be the case with this first initial setup. But that system's going to bring some very intense winds. And unfortunately, that increases the fire danger as well. So as we head into tomorrow on Friday, yes, folks, we've got an elevated in orange and then a critical in red, high fire danger where these areas have been bone dry out in far west Texas, out in eastern portions of New Mexico, up there into the panhandle of Texas, and back into eastern Colorado. They're expecting elevated to critical, and if not more areas into critical as we head into Saturday. So we've got a couple of days of high fire risk with that trough going to be moving in much drier conditions and very windy, folks. Yeah, it's going to be putting in some pretty high wind gusts. You can see the mark on the right hand corner of the screen here. Yeah, some of these wind gusts could easily approach 60 miles an hour along the into the Four Corners regions. And as this moves across into the plains, really going to amplify those winds out in West Texas, eastern New Mexico, back there in Colorado there. That's why they do have the high fire danger over the next couple of days. And as this does move across, yes, we do have some severe storms, but this will likely be not the intensity it could have been if we had a lot more moisture to work with this system. But we are going to be looking at kind of a squall line setting up into Nebraska, back into Kansas, as well as all the way down here into Tulsa, back into the Oklahoma City region. These are mainly going to be for some stronger gusty winds. And as this continues to push up, and as the low pressure center will continue to dump the snows and the higher elevations, that'll put out a little squall line of thunderstorms, mainly just wind gusts coming across the Dakotas, back through Iowa, as well as into eastern portions of Kansas there, into areas into Oklahoma, and then tailing down into North Texas with the not severe squall line moving across into the overnight hours on Saturday. So we going into Sunday, that squall line will continue to move up. So there's your low pressure highlighted across the Dakotas, continue to move out ahead of it. There you got the little skinny squall line of precipitation that's going to be elongated through Wisconsin, back into Kentucky by then, back into Tennessee. I'm not too concerned about this first initial system, but definitely more concerned about this second initial system that will be trailing behind it, because by that time, as we head into Monday afternoon, yes, folks, that is your solar eclipse day, folks, and that is your southwest winds. Southwest winds typically bring the moisture back, it brings the high clouds back, and it's going to bring a lot more cloudy conditions before we could be setting up for some cloudy skies by the time we head into your solar eclipse viewing. But after that, we're going to have to be looking for strong to severe storms setting up across portions of Texas into Oklahoma. So it's all complements of the Gulf of Mexico going to be more into play with this secondary system, as we've got those 70 dew points surging down there into the Gulf of Mexico and all the way north into portions of South Texas, back into North Texas. Those elevated dew points keep creeping higher as we get into the afternoon time frame on Monday. And this is going to be a warm front. So we got a warm front to the south that's going to be lifting north. That's one of the reasons why we're going to be starting to get unsettled. We're going to have the clouds back, high clouds, and then eventually low clouds. And as that warm front continues to push up, and as the main player moves into the Four Corners regions, that's going to be creating that lift mechanism to overturn the atmosphere and set up a round of severe storms. But here's the overall eclipse viewing. So I'm not expecting, rainfall during the eclipse down there into Texas and much of Oklahoma. But unfortunately, look at the cloud cover. This is the blend of models, and we'll go over this on a daily basis until the eclipse. And as of right now, it's pretty cloudy across that whole totality path. Complements of that warm front going to be lifting north. So yeah, it's going to be pretty hard pressed to see the totality within Texas across this area into Arkansas. But as you get further into the Ohio Valley, you can see the percentage changes of clouds do go down closer to 30%. But as you get into these areas across Ohio, and especially there in New England, and especially into Maine, where they are going to get a dumping of snow, it's going to be cleared out by then. So that's realistically the only place technically that's going to be looking for clear skies with no obstructions. Should have perfect solar eclipse viewing by the time we get into Monday afternoon. But more concerning is the severe threat that's going to be following the eclipse. So I think things get going into late afternoon on Monday, but especially into Monday night. going to be highlighted right where that warm front is within southeastern portions of Oklahoma into Arkansas here, as well as into northwestern portions of Louisiana and pretty much all of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex into East Texas and getting into areas into Central Texas. And man, look at the Cape values, folks. I mean, we're getting to the heart of severe storm season. And we're looking at a lot of instability, over 3,000 Cape values. That kind of gives you a guidance of what kind of instability we're working with on top of the moisture. So that is going to spell trouble. What also spells trouble is yet we have another system that's going to be coming back behind it, and that could be even more potent on Tuesday. We could be looking at some very heavy rain, a lot more instability in the atmosphere. We could be even looking at a mesoscale convective system forming and pushing some 65, 70, 75 mile per hour winds is probably not out of the question. The latest Euro run has been pretty bullish on this particular setup, along with very intense heavy rainfall. So we've got several days, Monday afternoon, likely Tuesday, and it could even bleed into Wednesday. There's the setup for Tuesday. Really doesn't go anywhere because the warm front really doesn't go anywhere. And we got another instability coming in off the West Coast with a lot more lift. So same places, North Texas down into Central Texas, into Louisiana, portions of Arkansas will be under the gun for all three modes of severe storms again on Tuesday. And I really feel like this could be a torrential rainmaker for some of you guys into Texas and Oklahoma and portions of Arkansas. So not only are we dealing with all three modes of severe storms, flash flooding is likely going to be a huge concern with this system, with a very slow moving system, especially if that MCS does develop very intense winds. And this could extend for many miles if that mesoscale system does in fact come together. And all signs it should start to come together on Tuesday, and that will continue to shift southeast. This is on Wednesday, so we're looking at a multi-day threat of severe storms, especially Monday, especially Tuesday, and likely getting into Wednesday further southeast into Houston, into Louisiana by then. And look at the rainfall, folks. I mean, this could be definitely some very intense heavy rainfall with that banding coming through. So you got the system coming in right now. That's going to leave that swath of snow across New England. You're going to clear out for the eclipse. And the second system will be coming on off the West Coast, bringing some more healthy rains for the West Coast. And much of the Intermountain West could see some snow. And then that first system comes through the Central Plains. But the second system, more potent system, really sets up a band of very heavy rain, intense rainfall for several days with that warm front just kind of hanging around. Could have some training thunderstorms as well as another convective complex there on Tuesday. So we'll definitely be fine tuning this into the days to come. So I did in fact have a new microphone on this video. So let me know how it sounds to you, and I appreciate all my followers out there. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. I will definitely keep you well ahead of the storm, and come back tomorrow so I can give you another update, and we'll see you then.